Article 370, a pivotal chapter in Indian history, is a constitutional provision that once conferred an autonomous status to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. This special provision, enshrined in the Indian Constitution in 1949, was designed as a temporary measure. The purpose? To grant the state autonomy while its relationship with India was under negotiation. This autonomous status meant that Jammu and Kashmir had a degree of self-governance not afforded to other Indian states. Yet the temporary nature of this provision was always a subject of heated discussion and debate. This legal provision was not just a written clause in the Constitution. It was a symbol, a representation of Jammu and Kashmir's unique, complex, and often contentious relationship with the rest of India. Thus, Article 370 was more than just a legal provision. It was a symbol of Jammu and Kashmir's unique relationship with India. Article 370 granted Jammu and Kashmir certain privileges that set it apart from other Indian states. This included the power to have its own constitution, a rarity among Indian states. This constitution allowed the state to make decisions on all matters barring four: defense, foreign affairs, finance, and communications, which remained under the purview of the Indian central government. Another key provision of Article 370 was the requirement for the Indian Parliament's concurrence to apply laws to the state, except in the aforementioned matters. This meant that laws passed by the Indian Parliament could only be applied to Jammu and Kashmir with the state government's agreement. In essence, a double layer of agreement was required to enforce laws in the state. These provisions gave Jammu and Kashmir a unique position within the Indian Union, a position that was both revered and contested. The origins of Article 370 can be traced back to the turbulent times of 1947. Amidst the throes of partition, the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir found himself at a crossroads. Choosing to align with India, he signed the instrument of accession, but with a significant caveat. Jammu and Kashmir would retain a certain degree of autonomy. This agreement sowed the seeds for what would eventually become Article 370. Incorporated into the Indian Constitution 2 years later in 1949, Article 370 was seen as a temporary provision. It was designed to provide the state with a degree of self-governance while its relationship with India was still being negotiated. This was a sensitive time, and the special status was seen as a compromise, a way to respect and accommodate the unique circumstances of the region. This temporary provision was a promise of autonomy and self-governance to a state grappling with its identity amidst a changing political landscape. Article 370, since its inception, has been a beacon of controversy. This constitutional provision has always been viewed through different lenses, stirring up a whirlwind of opinions. Critics have long held that it accorded undue privileges to Jammu and Kashmir, stalling its full integration with the rest of India. They argued that this special status, rather than preserving peace, cultivated a sense of separatism and hindered the region's progress. On the flip side, proponents of Article 370 saw it as a vital tool protecting the state's distinct identity. They believed that this autonomy was a necessary condition, given the unique circumstances surrounding the state's accession to India. They held that any move to alter this status could disrupt the delicate balance and trigger tensions. Thus, Article 370 remained a contentious issue, a double-edged sword of autonomy and isolation. The Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, has had a clear stance on Article 370. The party has consistently advocated for its removal, viewing it as a stumbling block to Jammu and Kashmir's full integration with the rest of India. They have held the belief that this provision perpetuated separatism, breeding an environment of discord and division. Moreover, they contended that Article 370 hindered the region's development by restricting the central government's ability to implement national laws and policies, thus stifling economic growth and prosperity. The BJP's position was not without controversy, sparking heated debates and polarizing opinions across the nation. However, their firm belief in a unified India, free from the constraints of Article 370, remained unshaken. With the BJP at the helm of Indian politics, the fate of Article 370 was about to take a dramatic turn. In August 2019, a historic decision echoed through the halls of the Indian Parliament. The Bharatiya Janata Party, under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, passed a resolution to revoke the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, granted under the controversial Article 370. This move was a realization of the party's long-standing agenda to fully integrate the region with the rest of India. The abrogation wasn't a solitary change. Alongside, the state of Jammu and Kashmir underwent a substantial reorganization. It was bifurcated into two separate union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. This decision was more than just administrative reshuffling. It signified a shift in governance, moving from a state with a significant degree of autonomy to regions under the direct control of the central government. With the stroke of a pen, Article 370 was abrogated, marking the end of an era. The move was as momentous as it was divisive, sparking a new chapter in the intricate history of Jammu and Kashmir. The removal of Article 370 triggered profound changes in Jammu and Kashmir. The region, once known for its autonomous status, witnessed a significant shift in its governance structure. The central government's control increased dramatically, reshaping the political landscape that had been in place for 7 decades. This increased control was accompanied by a visible rise in the deployment of security forces. As the central government strived to maintain law and order, the region underwent a period of heightened security. Alongside this, restrictions were imposed on communication and movement, altering the everyday life of the local population. Internationally, these changes sparked concern. Human rights organizations expressed apprehension over potential violations, putting the region under a global spotlight. The world watched as Jammu and Kashmir grappled with the aftermath of the abrogation. The abrogation of Article 370 opened a new chapter in Jammu and Kashmir's history, a chapter still being written. Today, the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh stand under central government administration. The winds of change are blowing, as efforts are underway to restore a sense of normalcy and stimulate development in the region. The government is launching initiatives to boost local economies, improve infrastructure, and provide better access to education and healthcare. Yet the path to progress is not without its obstacles. There are significant challenges in addressing the grievances of the local population, many of whom have experienced decades of unrest and uncertainty. Rebuilding trust is a delicate and complex process, requiring open dialogue, transparency, and a commitment to preserving the unique cultural heritage of these regions. The road ahead is long and winding, and the journey is far from over. The story of Article 370 and its abrogation is a testament to the complexity of Indian politics and the resilience of its people. It's a story that continues to unfold, shaping the destiny of Jammu and Kashmir.